We're talking about prosperity today, and there's 4 laws of wealth. There's the law of earning, spending, saving, and investing. We're going to spend most of the time on the first two. The law of earning states that all human wealth is created by the mind. Therefore, increasing the quality of your thoughts increases your income. So it's about working smarter, not harder. We've all heard that phrase before, working smarter and harder. Well, makes sense. But how are we going to do that? So have you noticed that when you really like something or you're getting pleasure out of it, part of you wants more? And if we have linked to this idea of prosperity, well, hard work, sleepless nights, it's like, okay, if I gotta. But if prosperity and the whole prospect of prosperity were linked to joy and pleasure, might make the whole job easier. No, so we know the aphorisms of the New Age: do what you love, and bliss will come. We all know that. But putting it into action is another story. So let's do an exercise here. Here's what you're going to do. Here's what you're going to do. Very simple. I'm going to ask you to write down your 10 favorite pleasures in life. Right. What's that? No. 10 of your favorite things that give you pleasure in life. Write them down on your paper right now, or your computer. Don't obsess over this. Oh, is it my favorite? No, just take what comes. Oh, I like windsurfing. Oh, I like old time movies. Oh, I like getting my back scratched. Oh, I like hugging. Whatever it is, write them down now. Oh, by the way, you're not going to have to share these in public, okay? So take that censor off, This is just a private exercise for you, okay? Okay, so now what I'm going to ask you to do is to, on your list, make a check mark, make a little mark by those pleasures that are on your job, in your profession. Now, I don't mean say that you like traveling in the Bahamas and so I go to my job and I make money so I can buy a ticket. No. I'm talking about pleasures actually on your job. Pleasures on your job. Mark down how many of those 10 you have on your job. It's how you bring in income, or what you would consider your job in life right now. Okay, so how many people have none? How many people have one? Okay, how many people have two? Okay, how many people have three? Right. How many people have four? All right. How many people have five? Okay. How many people have six? How many people have seven? How many people have eight? How many people have nine? How many people have 10?
Really?
People question me about that, and I'm open to questions, but we're not going to, this isn't about my story. It's just saying that I started out working for the man, of course. I worked for the county, and then I became self-employed, and then I began to create seminars, and then I began to create seminars called the Pleasure Intensive. And at the Pleasure Intensive, we can invite our mates or our partners, spend the night with you at the Pleasure Intensive. I traveled and did seminars in Italy and all over Europe. And my wife was with me, just in case you're suspicious about all the pleasures. Yeah. I have all of the pleasures, and one of them I have right on here is teaching and being with community, sharing love, growing together. Those are all things that are part of my job. And if you are having no pleasure on your job, who are you working for? So I'm suggesting that we can increase. I didn't start out that way. Well, part of it is also attitude. You may not take your lunch pail and go to the factory. What is your job in life? Now, you may be a homemaker. You may be raising children. It's a way that you bring in resources for the family. Yeah. Yes, Andy.
I kind of answered my own question from earlier because as a single retired man, my job is living.
Okay. All right. And actually, if you inculcate that and you get that, you wake up every day, you can wake up every day like loving to go to work.
Right. And the check marks got more and more as I expanded on that idea of living is my job, right?
Great. That's changing consciousness. Right. All right. So these are just planting some seeds here. But let's take it a step further. Take one of the pleasures that you wrote down and write down 3 ways that you could increase your income with that pleasure. 3 ways that you could increase your income with that pleasure. This doesn't have to be in your current career, but it has to be a current pleasure. I mean, you may be making money at it already, but then expand it. How would I make more money? I used to, in doing this seminar in the past, I'd say put an X by the one you'd least be willing to take money for, and then see how you could change that. But we're not going to do that. So don't think about it. Again, it's what you define as work. Like Andy was saying, one of the exercises that we did in our school was to keep track of every hour you spend for a week. And then you divide up that into categories of work and play. What do you find is work and what is your play? And then work alone or work together, or play alone and play together. And it's interesting. I mean, in my consciousness, I was thinking, geez, I'm working all the time. But actually, when I started to look at, I mean, it's like, I got quite a bit of stuff in the play category here. Well, you consider your eating work or play. I can get sometimes like, I got to eat now, shovel it in. Like, so we're consciousness shifting is what we're doing. And that's what life is about, is shifting our perspective on how we are spending our time and what we're receiving. Another exercise to take home with you is, and this is limbering up the mind, 20 ideas on how to increase my cash flow by X number this week. 20 ideas on how to increase, 20 ideas on how to increase my cash flow by what, $100, $50, or $1,000. In my work as a consultant and counselors, I've seen people come in who had made oodles of money. And their biggest problem in life, and they actually came for consultation on this, is how to get rid of it. You'd think, oh, come on, how to get rid of it? And not so easy. Just say, oh, I got a pile of money. Who wants it? No. you'll be deluged with all sorts of things. They wanted to give it away responsibly. How could they go about it? And this was a struggle. This was harder for them than making the money. There's a thing called the hedonic treadmill. And that's a concept that social scientists have come up with, that people get used to a certain level of happiness in their life. And that tends to be relatively stable. And even if there's like the landfall, the things that people dream of, winning the lottery, or there's a tragedy, things that people think of like, oh, God forbid that would ever happen to me or anyone I love, becoming a quadriplegic or paraplegic. Well, they've studied people who've had both sets of circumstances. And within 2 years, they are back to the same level of happiness they were before they either won the lottery or they had the tragedy. We adapt and we run our system that way. Now, the good news is that we can change that. We can change that level of satisfaction and happiness that we have in our life. Who has something that you would like to share about this little exercise? Something that was useful for you in doing this exercise. We'll take it. If you build on the things that give you pleasure, that's what's going to increase.
One of the things I enjoy and love is eating. And one of the things I can possibly do is senior or concierge companionship, and I'll be able to eat with the person I'm caring for as part of my included in my salary, you know, that the food be included.
Great. That's limbering up your thinking. That's beautiful. In fact, you might even see ways of sharing that. Not necessarily you give your lunch away, but there might even be ways of sharing that with the person that you're with. So on the pyramid of happiness, the base level on the pyramid of happiness is pleasure. And we know if you have no pleasure whatsoever in life, it's hard to really build happiness. But if all you have is pleasure, it's pretty fleeting. I like grapes. I love grapes. You like grapes? Oh, that's grapes. Yeah. So let's eat grapes. And all of a sudden, I had enough grapes for a year. You know, so that's pleasure is fleeting. It comes and goes. What's a little more stable than that on the second level of the pyramid of happiness is satisfaction. And satisfaction comes when what I have to give is then returned. So I give a service and I'm paid for it, or I exchange and receive, which we're going to do this afternoon. So satisfaction is knowing that I have value to give in the world, and the world appreciates it and rewards me for it. And it's pleasurable at times, but sometimes it's work, and I like it. It's making me happy to know that I am a useful, viable giver and receiver in life. Now, the pyramid capstone on the top of the happiness pyramid is purpose. And purpose is something that we know we're here for, something that just fills our soul. We know that we're here to be a teacher or experiment with making machinery that works more efficiently, or whatever it is that really turns our crank. And it's not always pleasurable. And sometimes people don't even appreciate it or reward me for it. But I know that's what I'm here to do. And I will continue to do that, because gives me fulfillment. Pleasure, satisfaction, fulfillment. And having them all together is the whole enchilada.